What's going on, guys? Don Walker back with another video. Today it's going to be something a little different. I want to talk about a possible change, a possible buff that Myth needs in order to be pretty darn great at PvP. Now, we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to credit myself just a little bit. I have done a ton of matches, though, on Max Myth. If you guys are aware and know my channel, you know that I like to do Myth PvP a lot. It's different, it's fun, we're a minority out here. Shout out Myth Gang, Myth Gang, Myth Gang once again. But my biggest issue with it is that we are so easy to counter. Now, everybody knows what the School of Myth is about, right? The School of Myth is about several things. The School of Myth is about stunning, right? We have single stuns, we have Medusa, we have Myth Banshee, we have Basilisk, we have all the cards necessary to stun our opponents, right? And we also have a lot of overtime options. But let's get into the overtime options later. Let's talk about the stunning right now. So when it comes to PvP, Myth is supposed to be the school of stunning, right? The school of stuns. Now, with a spell like Stun Block, right? The spell that we all know and love, especially not Myth, it takes one turn to cancel out a majority of Myth's hits. Now, with that being said, in order to take this off, Myth needs to use 2 turns to take off the stun blocks, both at the cost of 0 pips. Now, is that fair? That's the question of the day. Is that fair? In my honest opinion, I believe that stun blocks should have different variations. Either there can be one card where you can cast 1 stun block for the cost of 0 pips. That seems fair. But there should also be another option to where if you want to cast 2 stun blocks on yourself, then they should cost some pips. Now the pip cost, that's not why we're here. That's not why we're on this video. That's not up to me. That would be up to the higher power. But let's just talk about that. Let's talk about the issue of having to take off stun blocks for 2 turns while our opponents can stun block and be safe for 2 rounds. Now, this is the ultimate counter. In order to be good at taking off the stun blocks, right? Obviously, you don't want to bank on having to stun your opponent. I don't do it all the time. In fact, I barely have Medusas in my deck. I just have 3 in my side deck. I promise I didn't use any last match because I barely used Medusa. But I only have 3. It's because everybody stun blocks. But the one thing that Myth needs is a spell that takes off both stun blocks or 2 stun blocks at one time. Now clearly, before you say anything, before you just totally throw this idea away, obviously it wouldn't be at the cost of 0 pips. I'm thinking somewhere around 4, maybe 5 sounds reasonable, but there is just no way that Myth should be able, or Myth shouldn't be able to take off both stun blocks in 1 turn. This should be a Myth only spell. It makes sense to me. Why have 2 stun blocks for the cost of 0 pips when all the stuns just take off 1? I think this should be a Myth only spell, and I think it should cost some pips, obviously, because this would just cause for ultimate stun chains, right? Infinitely long stun chains. So obviously it should cost some pips, but something needs to be done for Myth only. Myth needs to have a spell that takes off more than 1 stun blocks at the cost of pips, guys. That's it. I think that's what Myth needs in order to not be a laughing stock in PvP. Myth PvP is such a rare occurrence. You barely see it. It's hard out here. But let's quickly, although we got into the beef, right? We got into the beef of the video. We talked about what should probably be done for Myth. I mean, other than the stun block issue, I think that, you know, because Myth has a lot of overtimes as well. I shouldn't even say a lot, but their biggest move is King Art. At least for me, I use it every round, but this video isn't about me. King Art for Myth is arguably the best King Artorias, and for a very good reason. It's a very, very good spell. But when you're second, or even first, I mean, triage and shift is always there. Now, you're going to say, oh, he's just complaining, you know, about triage and shift, right? I carry triage and shift. Not on this guy, but on my other characters, I carry triage and shift. But to have that counter to the best King Artoria spell in the game, and to have the stun block issue, it's like, what is Myth's purpose? What is Myth's strong suit? You can't say stuns. I mean, sure you can, but it's easy to counter. If you say overtime, then people are just going to laugh at you in triage and shift. And what's even more disrespectful is that shift's a misspell. It's like, oh, that's just the ultimate betrayal. But that's it, guys. The video doesn't need to be that much longer. It's basically uncut. This is my opinion. And this is coming off of me losing a ton of rank lately. Now, I have been doing PvP on my other wizards. Go ahead and check them out if you feel inclined to do so. But other than that, I'm going to step out for now, guys. Please, down below in the comments, let me know what you think about this. Seriously, I want to get a discussion going on about stun blocks and stunning and myth. So seriously, if you're watching and you're feeling any kind of way whatsoever, please leave a comment down below about what you think about this idea. Dawnwalker out for now. I'll see you guys in the next one.